It is my extreme pleasure to introduce the student speaker this year who was chosen by you, his fellow graduates. Ricardo Arcundia. Steadfast in pursuing his transfer associate degree in administration of justice, and he will continue his studies at CSU Chico. I'm sorry, Dr. Johnson, maybe next time. Ricardo's quiet demeanor and perseverance served him well as he earned a 3.57 GPA. He stands before you tonight as a first-generation college student and a first-generation American.
Thank you. It is truly an honor to be your student speaker, class of 2014. When I saw my name on the student speaker nominee paper, I couldn't believe it. I was even more surprised when I was officially announced as student speaker. I asked myself, why and how did I end up here? It is unbelievable how much my life has changed. Today, my goal is to inspire you guys and to chase after your dreams. Not only class of 2014, but everyone in here, especially our younger generation. Because if you want something bad enough, you'll get it. It's America. I was born in Mexico City and lived there till I was 7. I'm the youngest out of 4 children from my real mother and father. When I was 8 years old, my brother Carlos and I went on a really long trip alone from Salinas, Guerrero to Stockton, California, where my parents lived. I've never liked changes, and this one was big. I liked the life we had in Stockton, but it was a big struggle not knowing how to speak English. I tried as much as I could to learn as much as I could, and by the 7th grade, I was bilingual. At least that's what I thought. Everything seemed to be going great for our family. We owned a house, we owned 2 vehicles, we had a dog, and both my parents were employed. It seemed like the American dream people talk about in Mexico. One day, my parents got in an argument. My mother left the house and my father stayed to look after 4 teenagers. I was 13 and my older sister was 17. My father wasn't doing a good job at parenting, so my sisters moved out. By the time I was 14 years old, I was already doing drugs and had dropped out of school. My mother was pretty much out of the picture by this time, and my father had become a regular drinker. My brother Carlos and I had a place to live, but no one to look after us. We pretty much lived on the street. Excuse me. Months before I turned 15, I ended up in juvenile hall for the first time. I spent a week or 2 for receiving stolen property. It was a misdemeanor. I went in and out of juvie till the judge got tired of seeing me a year and a half later. When I was 16, I got sent to my first group home in Hesperia, California, about 6 hours away from Stockton, excuse me. I lasted 2 months before I was going to be terminated from the program for fighting. So I ran away with a friend from Ontario. His mom was going to pick us up and he was going to let me crash in his place. When we got there, everything had changed and I found myself homeless for 2 weeks. I was sleeping on people's apartment steps, acting like I was just sitting down. I had no one to talk to and no one to help me get back to Stockton. That's when I realized that my life was not looking good and neither was my future. I knew that I had to make a change, but there was a side of me that did not want to let that lifestyle go, no matter what. I finally ended up turning myself in and I was on my way back to juvenile hall. Thinking to myself in juvenile hall, I knew that I was headed to prison. It bothered me a lot, but there was nothing I could have done because I thought to myself, it is what it is. After a couple of months in juvie, I got sentenced to another group home in Exeter, California, with 23 other guys. I was about 3 hours away from Stockton now. I arrived there thinking that I was going to mess up things again and go back to juvie. So my first day, I went around looking for trouble. I was a little confused when the other guys tried to keep me out of trouble and advised me to do my time and just go home. I gave it a shot, and by the end of my time at that group home, guys from different neighborhoods were some of my best friends. I was tired of going in and out of juvie and needed some help to make a change, and this group home gave me the opportunity. After I graduated from that group home, I was still a minor and a ward of the court. So I ended up in a foster home in Chilcoot, California, a town of a population of 500 people about an hour away from here. I was smacked across the face when I turned 19. I had emancipated out of the system, but I was held back from my goals because of my undocumented status. At 19, I found myself renting a trailer by myself in Chilcoot, California. It was really frustrating at times, and I felt like giving up and just going back to Stockton and figure things out there. Especially at times when I would go into Walmart and could not buy a rated R DVD because I had no ID. Finally, close to my 21st birthday, my permanent resident status was approved. Months later, with the help of Kelly Holland, who has been there for me since I was in foster care, I was in Quincy in my own apartment and signed up for the next semester here at FRC. At first, it was hard trying to keep up with school and working graveyard shifts at Safeway. But I had my mind made up and knew what I wanted and needed to do. It was also hard for me to adapt into the adult world all by myself after the programs I went through. I took a minute to look at my life and where I wanted to be, and I made some rules for myself. One thing that I nailed in my brain was that I have to balance my priorities and fun. Another one, and the most important, is that I should understand that we're all human and that no one is perfect. That was my excuse for breaking some of my other rules. And every time I get too cocky or feel like giving up, I take myself back to when I was sitting on those steps. So why or how did I get here? Well, first of all, it's America. I realized my life wasn't looking too good, and neither was my future. I took the opportunity to make a change in my life. I knew what I wanted and needed to do. And finally, I made some rules for myself to keep myself in check. I know that not everyone's story is the same as mine, but I really hope that my story inspires you or you can take something from it. Thank you.
I just want to dedicate this diploma for my family right there, my nieces, my nephews, my sisters, Victor Ramirez, Roberto Ramirez, my brother Carlos, and everyone else that's been there for me. I love you guys.